Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. We are in the Psychology of Eating podcast, and I'm with Jenny today. Welcome, Jenny.
Hi, Marc.
Glad we're here. Glad we're doing this.
Very much so. Thank you for letting me come on.
Yay. If you could wave your magic wand and have whatever you wanted with food and body, what would that be for you?
Okay, so using the magic wand, I think my wish would be to be able to really open up fully in a romantic relationship and also in physical intimacy as well, without being preoccupied by my body and what it looks like. I would say that would be my magic wish.
That's a great magic wish. How long do you think that wish has been present for you?
Oof. Great question. I'm not sure that there's a time that it has ever not been present, certainly since my teenage years. I would say it's been a wish that's been there in a really long time.
How old are you now?
42.
And when was the last time you were in a relationship?
So I had a 4-year relationship when I was in my 20s, and that was from the age of 23 to 27. And I haven't had a serious relationship since that time. So it's been about 15 years.
So in that 15 years, did you wish to be in a relationship? Were you just sort of focused on other things? Where was your head and heart at?
I would say I was conflicted. It's quite difficult, the ending of my relationship when I was in my 20s. And so I think for a period of time, I was just taking time to get over that and get to know myself again. But also I threw myself into work quite a lot. So work was a real focus for many of those years. I think I did have a wish deep down to be with somebody again. And I've always been interested in the opposite sex and would notice people. But it wasn't probably until more recently, the last few years, that I've started to make other changes in my life and the wish has risen up, I would say. So yes, I have felt conflicted about it, but that's
so here's this desire that's coming up, especially stronger in the last few years. And you mentioned that there's something that can get in the way of that desire, which is how you're feeling about yourself, how you're feeling about your body. What do you tell yourself? If you can put into words some of the dialogue that's in your head, what would it sound like?
It would probably be saying, not yet. When I am slimmer, when I'm happier with how I look, at some point in the future, when I become that future perfect me, then that will be the right time for me to enter into a relationship. Until then, I'm too vulnerable. I will be criticized. They might not like my body. It's safer not to go there. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So are you actively trying to lose weight?
No. So I've been on a bit of a roller coaster with it throughout my life. So when I was younger, I was very much into the restriction and the dieting, and I did go down that track. And then during my years when I was really focused on work, I probably abandoned my body quite a lot, to be honest. In the last few years, I've been being kinder to myself and taking care of my body more, and it's coming back onto the agenda. But no, I wouldn't say I'm actively trying to lose weight. I'm actively trying to become aligned with the right path for my body. It's probably a better way of putting it.
Mm-hmm. So it's a fascinating conundrum. Part of me is glad for you that you're not actively trying to lose weight. And it's an interesting conundrum, because if you're saying to yourself, I can't be in a relationship till I lose weight, but you're not even trying to lose weight, then you're basically saying, I'm not going to be in a relationship right now.
Yeah, agreed. That sounds about right.
Yeah. So, it's fascinating, because I think what happens is we get we get so deeply conditioned by the world. We get so deeply programmed by our upbringing, by the media in ways that we're not even aware of most often. And one of the common, I think, sort of toxic beliefs that we can absorb is when I'm thin, or when I have the perfect body, or when everything is perfect, then I can be the real me. Then I can be loved. Then I can have the life that I want. And then I can have all the goodies. And in this case, the goodies can mean relationship, happiness, intimacy. But until I have the right body or the right shape or the right weight, I can't have those things. And just as a reminder, you didn't invent that concept. It's you're not the originator of that. That's floating around out there. And it's, to me, it's like a virus that we catch, and it's very strong. And I also think that for a lot of people, particularly women, when women believe that, well, I can't be in a relationship at this weight or with this body because I'm going to be criticized, because a man's going to look at me and go, no, she needs to lose, I don't know, fill in the blank. Whatever number is in your head that you think you need to lose, we think that's what other people are thinking.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what I wish to say, somebody should just interview 1,000 men and say to those 1,000 men, honestly, have you ever had the thought when you met a woman that you might have been interested in, have you ever had the thought, I would date her if she lost 5 or 10 kilos. But if she doesn't lose that 5 or 10 kilos, I'm not going to date her. I'm going to bet that you're not going to get more than 1% of men who say that. Women will think like that. Women will think that because I think that about my body, that others are thinking about it. Or that men will think that same exact thing. And what I'm saying to me, they're saying to themselves about me. And we have no proof of that. And on top of that, I just don't see it happen that much. So I think part of the road to get where you want to go is to begin to examine the automatic habitual beliefs that are in your mind.
That makes sense.
And one of those automatic beliefs that's in your mind is, this is what men are thinking. This is what people are thinking. Now think about it for a second. If you're thinking to yourself, something, I don't deserve love I don't deserve love. I don't deserve a loving relationship. I don't deserve a great romance and a great partner until I lose X amount of weight. What would happen if you actually met a guy and he said, wow, Jenny, I really like you, but this could never happen until you lose, 8 kilos. So give me a call if that happens. You wouldn't even want to be with that guy.
No, I would find him despicable.
Exactly. Thank you. So that same despicable thinking is going on in your mind. You're saying that to you. If somebody else said that to you, it would sound despicable. But for some reason, when we say it to ourselves, it doesn't occur as, oh my God, that's a terrible thing to say to myself. But if a human being on the outside was being that shallow towards you, you would cross them off your list, whether it was a man or a woman, a friend, a potential date, a potential partner. I'm going to guess that none of your friends weigh you every day and say, okay, Jenny, it's our friendship is dependent upon your weight, and how much I love you is dependent upon what it says on the scale. No, they wouldn't be your friend. So if you're thinking I have to be a certain weight in order for a man to want me, you're basically putting out an advertisement for a shallow man.
Mm. Yeah. And I haven't really encountered that, to be honest. I think it's probably a defense mechanism, because I think if I'm this perfect person in the future, I can't get hurt because there's nothing to be criticized about me.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be compared to another woman or compared to somebody else out there, and to be found to be failing. So I think there's probably other things I do it with as well, but I'm holding off until I feel more sure of myself, more sure that I've covered all targets, all bases.
Yes, it's on one hand, it's a completely understandable strategy because we don't want to be hurt and we want to make sure everything works out. And particularly when it comes to love and intimacy and relationship, it's easy to get hurt and it's easy for things seemingly to not work out, especially if you have had an experience in the past that didn't feel good.
Mm.
So on the one hand, great, it's easy to say, okay, I'm not going to be in a relationship until I'm perfect and I'm 100% protected. And if I'm perfect weight, that will definitely mean I'm protected, because how can you criticize me?
Yeah.
And really the moral of the story is, and I know you know this, but we have to jump into life, and we can't guarantee safety.
Mm.
There is no guaranteed safety. There is no guarantee that this is going to all work out perfectly. And that's the strangeness of life. I think that's the beauty of life, is that we don't know. And there is risk. And I think perhaps a part of your journey to open up to relationship in a real way is acknowledging that this is how it works. And I might get hurt, but you're not that same person that you were when you were in your 20s. I mean, think about it. If you got hurt, you would survive.
Yes.
You'd know what to do. You'd know how to take care of yourself. It wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be pleasing in any way, but you would do far better this time around than you did last time around.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So I say that not to paint a pessimistic picture, but just to acknowledge that you're not that woman that you were in your 20s. You're a different person. And you are not going to have certainty, but what you do have is you have yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And your experience and your wisdom and what you've learned about life. And I think a lot of times if we want to sort of win big, in a strange way, asking life, asking the universe, asking God for a great relationship is in a strange way, it's a big ask. So if we want to have something big, oftentimes we have to wager something big. And by wager something big, I mean, come to the table willing to move some energy in ourselves. And I think what's happening on your side of the equation is that maybe life is asking you to show up and just be willing.
Okay.
Just be willing. Say, okay, I'm open. I want this. And yeah, I can get hurt, but I can also have something amazing happen. And yes, I might not 100% feel confident about my body, but that's okay. You don't have to feel 100% confident about your body in order to be in a wonderful relationship. i.e., you don't have to be perfect. In fact, a lot of times it's easier to feel better about your body if you're with somebody who loves your body.
That's definitely true.
I wish I kept count of how many times I've asked clients or students or friends or loved ones, particularly women who are wanting to lose weight, they're already in a relationship. So they're in a relationship, they're in a marriage, and they want to lose weight. And they are clear that I've got to lose this weight. And then I'll ask them, so how does your partner feel about your weight? And 98% of the time, what I hear is, he loves me. He doesn't care. He just wants me to be happy. He loves me how I am. He doesn't even say anything. He doesn't notice.
I have experienced that recently, actually, because whilst I haven't had a serious relationship for a long time, there have been people in my life who I've dated or who, I've got to know. And somebody recently has been very, very complimentary and positive in the way that you just described. And so I do have that experience. It's something that I'm holding within me, isn't it? Yes,
because the way the other is looking at you is oftentimes completely different, completely different than how we're seeing ourselves. And that is one of the beauties of relationship, is you get to see yourself through somebody else's loving eyes. And there's a release that we need to do. There's a certain surrender to allow ourselves to let that in to our life. So it's understanding, yes, I'm not at the perfect place I want to be with my body. Yes, me has a part of me that wishes it was a little different, and not even trying to lose weight. So there's a part of me that just doesn't even want to go down that road anyway. There's a part of you that, you just don't want to do it. I'm interested, what's funny for you when I say that?
I know my own mind, and I have been on a journey with this recently. And I did the IPE coach certification course in 2015. That was one of the things that kicked off my journey with seeing my body in a different way. And since then, I've done a body confidence coaching course. I've done a course in relation to intimacy and relationships and understanding, how people work and the barriers that they have up. And so, I feel that I know differently now. I'm not going to try and shrink myself into being something that's different from who I am. I've changed as a person. I'm not going to go down that route. So that's why I'm laughing when you're saying, I'm not even going to try to lose weight in that way necessarily. I'm just not. I've got a different path in life now. That's not to say that I never will change how I look or improve myself or get healthier. I'm on that journey anyway, but I'm not going to do it in the way that I used to do it when I was younger. I refuse.
Congratulations. That's a great place to be with yourself. That's a great place to be on your journey, because at some point in life, we have to say, okay, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I look like. This is how I show up. This is how I talk. This is how I walk. This is just me. And you all can either love me or not. You can like me or not. And I've got to accept me. I've got to get on board with this is who I am. And it's just easier to, especially when it comes to relationship, to invite in what you're looking for when you have an invisible sign on yourself that says, I'm good with myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm not heavily criticizing myself. I don't need you to heavily criticize me. So I can hear that voice accentuated and learn that, oh, that's not such a good voice. So I think the more the conversation starts to turn towards what's truly important to you, in a way, if I'm just focused, so many people, weight loss becomes so important that becomes, in a strange way, their primary relationship.
Yeah.
Food becomes their primary relationship. Dieting becomes their primary experience of partnership. and you end up sleeping with your relationship with food. We end up sleeping with my relationship with weight loss, and that's what I'm being intimate with. I'm thinking about it all the time. I'm obsessing about it. And that doesn't leave a lot of room for an actual real relationship.
As you're saying that, what came to mind is that I feel that I'm in a primary relationship with self-improvement. Mm-hmm. So it used to be specifically about my body and getting thinner and dieting and being preoccupied with that. And then I think maybe that shifted a bit. And don't get me wrong, I've loved the learning that I've done. I've loved the coaching courses, but that's where my mind goes all the time. How can I get better? How can I improve? How can I remove blocks? And maybe that's not entirely healthy. Maybe there's two sides to that coin.
Oh, Jenny, I really love that you're bringing this up, because I think there is, in a strange way, there's a shadow side or a hidden side or a dark side to the personal growth kind of universe and the personal growth approach. So I'm 100% with you. I mean, I make a living in the personal growth universe. So it's something I love, it's something I'm passionate about, it's something I believe in. And at the same time, what can happen for a lot of human beings is that we get stuck in, I'm never good enough. And there's always something I have to fix. And I'm always seeking to be better. And that's great. So there's a place where that's great. There's a part of me that always wants to be better. But I think that has to be equally balanced with the part of us that just says, and this is me. And here I am. And this is what I look like today. This is how I act today. This is me. I'm imperfect. I'm a work in progress. I'm always going to be growing. And you know something, I don't have to push myself today, because the personal growth impetus can easily become like a mantra inside the mind that's constantly saying, you're not good enough. You need to be better. You're not perfect. Work on yourself, which then can lead to, well, you don't deserve this, you don't deserve that, because you're still working on yourself. You're still a work in progress, and we're always a work in progress. So there's a place where you don't have to do anything in relative to personal growth. There's a place where you can just call a timeout. And that might be really fun for you. Oh, no. And you could even think of it just as a 2-month timeout, a 2-month vacation from quote unquote personal growth or self-improvement. It doesn't mean you don't go to your exercise class or your yoga class, or you don't have a conversation with somebody. It doesn't mean that. It just means you're letting go of having to be anything different than what you are right now, anyone different than who you are right now, and just experience, this is me. Here's my life. Here's where I live. Here's the people around me. Here's my friends. Here's what I'm up to. And let me just enjoy that and savor it. I live in the future. Yes.
I don't really live in the past anymore. I think I lived in the past for a long time, but now I'm living in the future, planning how will things be different? What can I do next, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I'm not very good with the present.
Well, it sounds like you're ready to live more in your present. It sounds like you're ready. And living in the present means beginning to notice, who am I and what do I want? How do I want to show up? What is my expression in this world? And you've already acknowledged that a big part of your expression and a big part of your desire as a human being is to be in relationship. So let's embody that. Let's own that. This is who I am. This is what I want. And let me put my energy into that experience, because that's who I am right now. That's my desire that's living in me presently. And to nurture that desire, to own it, to claim it, to think about it, and to ask yourself the question every day of, if this is what I want, then what is it that I need to do to draw that into my life? Might mean talking about it with friends. It might mean letting your best friends and the people who love you and are closest to you know that you're available. And just in case they know somebody they want to fix you up with. It's however you go about the business of meeting people, of dating, living in that present. So yeah, you're wanting something for your future, but you're being with it right now. You're putting your desire into action in a meaningful way.
It sounds so simple when you say it, and I do have that desire. I know that I do, and equally I've got fear, and so I sit with both.
Yes.
So yeah, it's funny because I haven't had a serious relationship for 15 years, but you used the word available. I don't think I've been available to a relationship in that time. So if I were to be saying that to my friends, yes, we've had these conversations before about, who's single and who could they set me up with, but I don't think I've really felt fully available.
Yes.
Fully, because of the fear around it.
Yes. So you might not ever feel fully available because there will be fear. So instead of looking at the fear as an obstacle, instead of looking at fear as something that gets in my way, what if we looked at the fear of, oh my God, I can get hurt. Weird. This is like all uncomfortable things can happen, all the fears. So instead of looking at the fear as an obstacle, what if you looked at it as, okay, this is normal and human. People get afraid. People get afraid when there's something new. People get afraid when they are wanting to open themselves up to relationship and not wanting to get hurt like I did in the past. People get afraid of all things for all reasons. We get afraid if we move to a new country, change a job. It's lots of things to be afraid of. So, okay, yeah, I'm afraid. And those fears are understandable. So I would love to see you just sort of nurture those fears a bit more. Talk to them a little bit more and really notice what you're afraid of. And again, instead of seeing it as an obstacle or something that you have to get rid of so you can be 100% available, no, bring it with you. Bring it on your date and let yourself be afraid. Because the majority of you wants a relationship. It's a smaller percentage of you that's afraid. I think at this point, at least, I'm just going to guesstimate, at least 51% of you wants a relationship.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Which means your head's above water, which means the majority of you wants a relationship. Even if it's 49% of you that's in fear, the part of you that wants relationship is winning.
Yeah. There's been an underwater battle for some time, but yes, that is the case now.
Yeah. So it's just you starting to proclaim to the world and take the baby steps that help you move with your fear instead of being stopped by it, or instead of thinking that this is in my way. It's not in your way. It's more like a companion. Because fear has a logical use. There are things we ought to be afraid of. If I'm out in nature and there's a big creature with a lot of teeth that likes to eat other animals, I should be afraid of that. I should be afraid of a predator. I should be afraid of a dangerous situation. I should be afraid of, putting myself too much on the line if the other person's not doing the same thing. So fears have a legitimacy to them when they do. And we have to notice sometimes that there's fears that we give more power to than those fears deserve. So really, on one level, you're learning how to work with fear.
I think that's good imagery for me. You talking about the 51% of me that is interested in pursuing a relationship, because I can almost imagine that 51% of self holding hands with the 49% or less, depending which day it is.
Exactly. And I have a feeling for you, it might be a little bit easier than you think. Mm-hmm. You might find yourself very stimulated and very engaged by the process of acknowledging to the world, to your friends, to yourself, I'm available. There's a certain risk in that. Risk can be exciting. A lot of times our fear, our nervousness, our anxiety is very close to excitement. Mm-hmm. Sometimes fear and anxiety just need to breathe a bit and they become excitement. They become energy. So it's really you just throwing yourself into the fray, throwing yourself into the unknown of life, and acknowledging you're a different person than you used to be, and leading with what you want, getting clear in yourself, like, what do I want in relationship? Mm-hmm. What are the absolute must-haves? If I'm going to be with a man, absolutely, he must have this. What are the absolute must-not-haves? Okay, must not have, doesn't yell and curse at me and doesn't hit, something like that. Is unconscious and doesn't know how to communicate, can't have that. Must have, conscious communicator, caring, loving. You just get clear what those are for you. And I often think just one of my favorite little relationship exercises is to literally create your list. Must-haves, can't have, like deal breakers, and then nice to have. Doesn't have to have this, but nice if it's there.
Magic wand time again.
Yes. Just so you can begin to nurture that desire and give it air and give it time and give it breathing room. I think it's a mystery of relationship is a mystery. I think loving relationship is a mystery. Talk to enough people. Sometimes people meet in, grade school and they become, partners for life. Sometimes people figure it out really young. I meet people who have never had a quote unquote bad relationship. They just got it right from the beginning. I meet people who've been through 3 or 4 divorces. They constantly fall in love and they constantly get disappointed. There's all types, there's all kinds of experiences. And I think at the end of the day, there's just a big mystery to it with a capital M. And at the same time, it's good to respect the mystery of it and to notice what is it that I can do within me and in the practical ways to just acknowledge the beauty of the process of opening up to relationship. Just there's a certain beauty in it. There's a certain humility, I think, that it's helpful to come to that process with. You know, a lot of people come to searching for a relationship with a lot of demands. It better not be this. It better not be that. And here's my long list of 100 things this person must have. Woo. List shouldn't be 100 bullet points long. And I think also part of it is, however you're in relationship with a higher power, just asking life for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's much more of an interesting focus than, okay, how do I lose a bunch of kilos that I don't even want to try to lose so I can attract a person who I think is going to love me, even though that person is going to be shallow because they only are attracted to me because I lost a bunch of kilos. And I don't like shallow people anyway.
I completely agree with you, Mark. Yeah. This week, I've had a song which has been in my head and coming up on my playlist time and time again. And you may know it. It's Big Love by Fleetwood Mac. Mm-hmm. But the Lindsey Buckingham, he plays like an acoustic version, and I've seen him do it live. And it's so powerful. And he's just singing, looking out for love, big, big love. And you said earlier on in this conversation, you know, when you want something big, you've got to risk it big. And I want big love. That's what I want. That's one of the reasons I've been single for such a long time, because I didn't want to settle for somebody that I could, to quote my gran, somebody that I could live with. I want someone I can't live without, you know, something fantastic, somebody who's really compatible with me and where it just feels right. And I want that big love. I know that I do.
Jenny, that's so clear. The way you said that,
it
flowed from you. It was clear. You were smiling as you were saying it, and you're crystal clear.
The 49% isn't happy with that, but yes, I agree.
Yes. So I'm just acknowledging the 51% of you that is clear. And that's the part of you I love to see you giving more airtime to, giving more attention to, because the more you let that part of you speak and breathe and be heard, then the bigger it grows and the more powerful it becomes. And I think at the very least, that approach to attracting a relationship can really help. It can only help.
Yeah.
So what do you think you need to do, you know, based on what we've been speaking about in this conversation? How do you imagine things are going to look for you in the next number of weeks as you begin to claim your availability? And as you begin to take the perfect body or the perfect life that you need to be and have off of the table, how might that look for you? What would you do different?
A wise person once said to me that words are the architects of our lives. And I think language is a big part of it, because I frequently say things like, oh, I'm a commitment phobe, I'm fiercely independent, things like that. And so I think there's definitely something around language and being careful about what I'm saying to myself and to others. And using positive language to describe what I want and to write and to think about that. Being more conscious of the 49% and the way that that's stopping me. And seeing the opportunities that are already there, I think to some extent as well. There is interest, and opening up to that. And Whilst I hate to say it, what you said earlier about taking the break from the personal development and the self-improvement, and I'm always reading, I'm always doing courses all of the time. And I think maybe having a period of time, as you say, to be Jenny and not future Jenny or pretend future Jenny or future Jenny in training or whatever it is. I think maybe being me, who I am now, is possibly needed. That'll take a bit of doing, but yeah, I think I need to come through and live in the present more fully in that way.
That sounds like such a great game plan to me. I really like that for you. And I think it's going to be an especially powerful shift when you give personal development. Just give it a vacation. And giving it a vacation really means, ta-da, this is me. I'm here. This is what it is. And nothing to change here. And just hang in that space for a while and see what it feels like to just be you and not think you need to change something to have a better experience.
That will be new.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting if you already have people in your world who are drawn to you or attracted to you. I think one of the great things to do if you're dating is to really look at every dating experience as a learning, as helping you get to where you're going. So instead of, I went on a date with this guy, he's a loser, not interested, strike one, maybe the next one will be better. No. Who did I attract? What did I like about him?
Yeah.
What was he attracted to in me? Make sure that any man that's attracted to you, that on some level you take in the compliment. Even if you're not attracted to him, even if you're not interested in that person, it's important to see that there's a compliment coming in your direction. There's desire coming in your direction. There's positive energy coming in your direction. Even if you're not interested in that person, it's important to acknowledge to yourself, to the universe, oh, this is what I want. I want positive energy coming towards me. I want a man who's drawn to me. I want a man who wants me, who's attracted to me. Unfortunately, it's not this guy for me, but I am moving in the right direction. And if the person's not for you, just bless them and move on and understand and see what it is that you can get from that experience that helps you feel better about yourself and helps you learn about yourself or what you want and what you don't want.
I like that very much. Yeah. And hopefully they can learn as well from the experience. So it works both ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had in my life in the past some amazing dates where on the first date we figured out we are so not a match and just had a great conversation of how did we end up on a date? What are you going to do from here? What do you really need? What do you really want? And just breaking it down was just really interesting when that happens because so many people want love. And just because the person you go out on a date with isn't the one doesn't mean that it's not part of the whole experience of attracting that person to yourself. It's all part of the journey. If we can respect the journey, honor the people in it, then I think more goodness is possible.
I like that. It makes me think of, old-fashioned dances where you would have a dance card and you dance with different people, but you might keep coming back to somebody over and over again, but you can still enjoy the short dances that you have with the different people. So just thinking of it like that, I like that very much, but definitely, the learning.
Well, I think you're poised for success.
Thank you.
Anything else that you're taking away from this conversation that you haven't mentioned or that's worth mentioning?
What you said before about me not being the person that I was in my 20s, when I went through the breakup before, that's so true. And it's funny how life works out, because on the way here today, I went past a place that I remember being when shortly after the breakup and in my 20s. And I remember at that time when I was 27, thinking to myself, the journey starts here after the breakup, as in I've got to build myself back up again now. I'm going to be a single person. I need to figure out this journey for myself. And I remember where I was when I had that thought, and I went past there today. And yeah, as I sit here as a 42-year-old and walk past that spot earlier, I'm not the same person that I was when I was 27, even though I send lots of love to her. She was great in her own right, but I've learned so much, and I would be able to look after myself more this time around. So you were right in what you said, and it's interesting that I took that journey today.
Yes, I think it's such an important realization, understanding, bit of wisdom to really bring with you, is that you're safe because you have your own back.
Mm-hmm.
You're safe because you can take care of yourself. And because you have your own back and you can take care of yourself, then you're safer in a strange way as you go out there and risk yourself and date people and look for a partner and look to attract a partner. You have your own back. And that's so important to remember.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't want to go on a diet anyway, like you said. That's the other thing that stood out. That was pretty clear, wasn't it?
I can tell. I can tell. It's going to be interesting, I think, for you as you spend some time taking a vacation from personal improvement and having to be the future you and just be the present you. And that includes your body as well. Let's just hang for a while and not have to change anything. Mm-hmm. And see who I am. Because the reality is, if you found a partner, once again, who had the same thinking that you do about you and said to you every day, first thing in the morning, okay, Jenny, I need you to lose weight. I need you to be a better person. What courses are you taking? What books are you reading? And where do you, and then show me your progress. That would be misery to wake up to that.
But that is how I speak to myself. That's actually hilarious hearing you say that, Mark.
Yes. It is silly. It really is silly, but that's what we do. And it's good to get that reflection, because then you can start to just dialogue with yourself in a different way, and in a way that works, and in a way that really reflects who you actually are, and is not just reflective of just old fears and old habits.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you.
Jenny, I really appreciate the conversation. I appreciate just reconnecting with you. And, I know you took the training a while back, but I'm just so glad to, circle back here years later.
Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate it. And this has given me so much today. Really, really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Take care, my friends.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.